Hello, welcome to Vlogtober day. I'm actually going to have to look it up. I think I may have skipped a day. I just don't know. I get very confused. I sleep odd hours, and sometimes I sleep 4 hours here, and then much later on, 4 hours there. And I wake up sometimes. I can't remember if it's night or day, if John's at work, or if John's sleeping. And the whole COVID thing, I think, has made it much worse for me on that whole front. But so I did get out though the other day. I couldn't stand it. I had to get to a thrift store. Friday it didn't work out because Sean works. He's working during normal business hours. And he promised me that he'd take me at some point soon. And Saturday we were out, but we both got kind of tired and just wanted to go home. And so he told me specifically that Sunday he promised he'd take me to a thrift store. So that was good. I got some clothing. I'll make another separate vlog to actually model the clothing. I know. I don't think I've ever done that. You very rarely get to see anything of me that isn't just from the top of the head, to my bust. And I used to be very ashamed of how large I was. I think when I started YouTube, I was over 300 pounds. I'm positive of that. And I'm still no skinny mini, but it's like, what am I hiding for? What's the point? So I'm going to challenge myself to face some of my fears and start doing some vlogs that show my whole self and modeling some of the clothing that I either order or pick up. I did order some lace cheeky cut panties from Amazon, but I won't be modeling those. You're welcome. ah, no, they're cute. They're cute. It is what it is. My self looks much better in lace panties than in those granny panties that I had picked up at Walmart. I was sick of wearing those things. It just goes against my nature. So, got those, but then I got some few things. I whittled it down to just a couple of items because I wasn't looking to spend a whole lot of money. We're a little short right now. We're working on paying off some debts and stuff, so that puts us a little bit short. But I just wanted to go pick up a couple of things if I found anything really nifty, and I did, and I'm sure I will wear them a lot during the autumn and probably maybe winter months. I don't know. I'll probably have them for years and wear them until they're threadbare. But one of the other things I picked up was that I got 3 books, and I don't tend to look through the books because I can't see the titles on them. I can't see the spines. I have to get, I would have to get so close. It was just ridiculous and very awkward. And now I still don't have the right level of magnification on reading glasses. I got the ones that were the highest they have at Walmart. Because I knew they'd be cheap and I just wanted something for now, but I need to go and figure out exactly what magnification I need and then order the cool ones that I've had my eyes on for a while. So one of the things I found was this Rudolph book. And yes, I have a notification of some sort. So this Rudolph book says Merry Christmas on the back and something else. I've become one of these people. Wait, let me get my... I usually poke myself in at least one of the eyes with these things. It says, Montgomery Ward wishes you a Merry Christmas. So this was something that came out by Monkey Wards. I've looked it up since. I thought it was going to be maybe worth something. Maybe I could turn around and sell it elsewhere. But it's going for a couple of bucks. It's obviously not rare, not this edition anyway. It was originally written, what does it say? Something about the year 1939, Montgomery Ward. I don't know. I'll read it at Christmas, okay? The images are not spectacular. If as a child I would have found that upsetting and disappointing to have those bland colors, but honestly that would be pretty framed and hung up somewhere. So there's that, and I toss it because I just don't care. Then I know I'm sappy, but I was born in the 60s and therefore grew up being aware of a poet named Rod McEwen. And Rod McEwen would do his poetry. He'd put them out in book form. This will be my third Rod McEwen book. Put them out in book form, but he also would do record albums, reading his own poetry. And it's very short prose, or maybe like another page of that. Yeah, there's 3 pages total with just this little bit of. So they're not long, laborious poems. They're written in the, when did he write these? 50s and 60s, I guess. Oh, this is copyright 1972, and I'm not sure how many books he had put out before this one. His poetry tends to make me cry. I first became really aware of him in the 80s. There was a radio show out of Chicago that I used to listen to on AM radio in the middle of the night. And they were very funny and oddball. And one of the things they would do was play some Rod McEwen reading his own poetry. And there was one called Sloopy. Sloopy? Yeah, Sloopy. About his cat. And just even beginning to think about it makes me want to cry. It gets me very emotional. And I'm thinking about actually having John maybe read it, do a cold reading on it on camera, and just see how he reacts to Sloopy. And the Sloopy poem is not in this book. This is And to Each Season. Oh, Rod McEwen's a sap. I just love him. Quite the romantic. Now, my next one. Don't let me down. Oh, it's letting me down. I had something all queued up. What is even that? I didn't ask for that. It's these little buttons on the Roku get me screwed up. I accidentally hit them sometimes and end up with something I didn't want. Okay, screw it. I was going to play some spooky music for you. I just spit. What's up with that? I picked up a copy of Gus Was a Friendly Ghost. Good old Gus. There he is. This is from the Weekly Reader Children's Book Club. This is by Jane Thayer, illustrated by Seymour Fleischman. Whoa. Neat. Maybe I can make that my thumbnail. Let's see. Cool. Okay. I don't know if I have enough room on my phone to read this to you out loud. I believe this publication was in 1962, so that was like before even I was even thought of. Yeah. And it says, there was once a friendly ghost by the name of Gus. He lived in an old house. How do we do this? Lived in an old house in the country with apple trees and lilacs in the yard. Mr. and Mrs. Scott, and their twins, Susie and Sammy, lived there too in the summer. The old house had an attic, and sometimes the Scotts heard rattles and clanks in it. That was Gus. The Scotts didn't believe in ghosts, so they didn't believe in Gus. Still, I lost my place. Still, when they heard the rattles and clanks, they liked to say to their friends, "We've got a ghost." The Scotts made Gus feel welcome in their old house, so Gus liked them, especially liked Mrs. Scott. She was so pretty. He wanted to please them all. So he rattled and clanked in the attic the way ghosts are supposed to do. "We've got a ghost," said the Scotts proudly, though they didn't believe in ghosts. The autumn came and the Scotts family left. No need to rattle and clank now. Gus had nothing to do but sit around. Oh, wop, wop. One day, he was so lonely sitting around by himself that he went for a walk and he met a mouse. "How are you?" said Gus. "Freezing," said the mouse with chattering teeth. "Well, come and spend the winter at my house," cried Gus. "Any people there?" said Mouse. "I do hate people." "Not now," said Gus. Mouse scurried about the house. It seemed a good place to spend the winter, but it was chilly. "Let's build a fire in the fireplace," said Mouse with chattering teeth. "I'll get a match." He scurried to the kitchen, but the Scotts had taken all the matches away on account of, mice. Bother! Cried Mouse. Gus had never built a fire. Ghosts never get cold, but he wanted Mouse to be happy in his house. So he said some ghostly words he knew, and a fire began to blaze in the fireplace. Well, said Mouse with delight, let's have a bite. I'll look in the cupboard. He scurried to the kitchen, but the Scots had taken all the food away on account of, mice. Bother! Cried Mouse. There they are at the table, you see. Gus had never cooked a meal. Ghosts never get hungry, but he wanted Mouse to be happy. Toasted cheese sandwich, said Gus. There isn't any, began Mouse. Then he saw that Gus was slicing a big piece of cheese. Mouse was delighted. Gus was pleased that he had thought of the cheese. Gus pulled the table up to the hearth. He piled 9 pillows and a chair for Mouse. Mouse enjoyed his toasted cheese. There he is on a bed of newspapers and such. Finally, Mouse wiped his whiskers. Which is my room, he said. Take your pick, said Gus. Bed will feel good, said Mouse. He scurried into the front bedroom, but Mrs. Scott had put newspapers all over the bed on account of, mice. Mouse made a face. I do hate newspaper, he said. He scurried into the back bedroom. I'll curl up in a drawer. But Mrs. Scott had put mothballs in the drawer on account of mice, of course. Mouse made a terrible face. I do hate mothballs, he said. Gus wanted Mouse to be happy in his house. Try the attic, he said. Mouse ducked into a hole in the wall that Gus showed him and found his way to the attic. He burrowed into an old mattress and went to sleep in the stuffing. Gus washed the dishes. He was delighted to have Mouse in the house for company. When Mouse woke up, he scurried downstairs and said, How do I get out of here? Don't go, cried Gus. Aren't you hungry? What are we having for dinner? Said Mouse. Gus began to be very busy. Mouse liked his 3 meals a day with nibbles in between, so Gus put on an apron. He got out a cookbook. He looked up all the things a mouse might like to eat. He spilled sugar all over the floor. He got flour all over his face. He burned his fingers. He made... There's that. I can almost read it in my phone. Almost. He burned his fingers, but he made macaroni and cheesecake. He whipped up cheese soup and cheese sauces. He baked cheese bread and cheese biscuits, cheese popovers, and cheese pie. So I should have had it to begin with, huh? Mouse never had time to help. He was so busy with various matters, but Gus didn't mind. Mouse grew plump on cheese sauce. At night, when it snowed, Mouse read to Gus by the fire. Sometimes they played checkers, sometimes they popped corn. Firelight flickered on the old window panes and smoke curled up the chimney. No one was near to notice. Oh gosh, here they come. But at last the snow melted and the sun grew warm. The buds on the apple trees swelled. The lilacs burst into bloom, and one day a car drove into the yard. The Scots were back. When Mouse heard Susie and Sammy running through all the rooms, he ducked into the hole in the wall and rushed to the attic. When he peeked out of the mattress and saw his friend Gus, he cried angrily, I'll scare them away. Why, they're nice, said Gus in surprise. He was glad to see the Scots, especially Mrs. Scott. But Mouse had been so happy in the house with Gus's cooking and everything that he was furious to think the Scots had come and spoiled it. There they are, back in the joint, enjoying their life. Gus couldn't cook with Mrs. Scott in the kitchen, so Mouse scampered down to the parlor where the Scots were playing checkers. He ran back and forth inside the wall, patter, 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 to scare them away. We've got a mouse. said Mrs. Scott, but the Scotts weren't scared away. Look at that little asshole. What do you want to do that for? Said Gus to Mouse. The mouse paid no attention. He scampered into the kitchen. He nibbled a piece of blackberry pie and tracked the juice around. He chewed open a box of marshmallow cookies and spilled some tapioca. Look at him, he's on a rampage. Rampage. Behave yourself, said Gus. Mouse scampered into the bedroom and chewed a hole in the pillow for good measure. But the Scotts weren't scared away, so Mouse scurried up to the attic after the Scotts were in bed and stamped about over their heads, making all the noise a mouse could possibly make. Oh, heck. Finally, Mr. Scott said, I'll set a mouse trap. The next day, Mouse saw a new thing in the attic and smelled something good. He was so hungry. His nose quivered. He crept closer and closer. Keep away, cried Gus. It's cheese, cried Mouse. It's a trap to catch you, said Gus. Beware and shit. He put up a sign that said danger. When Mr. Scott didn't catch Mouse, he set another trap and then another. Gus kept putting up signs that said beware. Why can't you folks get along, cried Gus. But the more mouse traps Mr. Scott set, the more Mouse stamped about among the danger signs to scare the Scotts away. Gus began to really worry, and he didn't want his friend the Scotts bothered, and he didn't want his friend Mouse hurt. I'll never forgive myself if anything happened, he said. Then one day, Mouse became so determined to scare the Scotts out of the house that he popped up in a kitchen shelf, bold as brass. When Mrs. Scott reached for the cereal, "Help!" screamed Mrs. Scott, running away. Oh, it's on now. That was the last straw. When Gus saw Mrs. Scott, who was so pretty, scared out of her wits, all of a sudden he pointed his finger at Mouse and roared, "That's enough!" Just scared the cats. Sorry if you're wearing earbuds. Mouse was so shocked that he stood stock still and stared. "Listen to me," Gus shouted. "If you stay in this house, you'll do as I say from now on." "What?" whispered Mouse. "If you stay in this house, you will do as I say from now on. You'll stop scaring Mrs. Scott," roared Gus. "Okay," said Mouse meekly. "You'll stop nibbling and chewing. You can't go out in the garden and eat nasturtium seeds," shouted Gus. "Okay," said Mouse. "You'll keep quiet while the folks play checkers." "I'll walk on tiptoes," says Mouse. "You'll stop stamping around the attic. I'm the only one allowed to make a noise in the attic. I'll be as quiet as a mouse," said Mouse. "All right," said Gus with a sigh of relief. Then he saw how meek and scared Mouse looked. Oh. And it's just till the folks go away, he said kindly. So Mouse tiptoed about the house and ate nasturtium seeds in the garden. The Scotts said, "That mouse is gone," and Mr. Scott took away the traps. Gus rattled and clanked extra loud in the attic, so the Scotts could say, "That's our ghost." And when the Scotts went away for the winter, Gus and Mouse had a celebration with cheese croquettes for dinner. And that is the end of that. Yay! I hope you enjoyed it.